Welcome back to another book highlight. We are now on chapter 2 of My Father the King. And for this book highlight, I'd like to focus on what Mephy's nurse, Amma, tells him. There comes a time when every man must face God for himself, and if you have not yet faced the fact that he made you for a purpose, you have not yet faced him. And then she tells him the story of Moses, how he didn't feel equipped or ready for the task God gave him, but it clearly didn't matter what he thought of himself. His vision of himself was not the vision God had. And once Moses obeyed and trusted God to equip him, he did great things for God and stepped into God's plan for his life. Amma's point in bringing this up to Mephy in this context is that she knows he's discouraged and confused when he looks at his life right now. He has been begging and, hiding from the Philistines, from David's men. He's been hiding his whole life because he is the son of Jonathan. And so there's a lot of people around that want to kill him. And after he broke his legs in the prologue, he was introduced to the idea that possibly his family was cursed because of Saul's sin. And now he's begging for the profit of an abusive guardian, Amma's brother, and he's looking around and wondering, why am I alive? If I'm cursed and my family's cursed, what's the purpose of my life? And Amma is saying, this isn't it. This around you is not the whole of your life. We can get stuck where we are and forget that. We get stuck believing that because people are lying to you or your circumstances are buffeting you, that this is it and you'll just be stuck in a pit forever. But you will be so bound up if you live your life based on what you think of yourself and what others think of you. It takes some engagement from you to step out of those trappings and into God's future. Now, Mephy is 13 at this point, which was a coming of age time in Israel. And so Amma is encouraging him, this needs to be a turning point in your life. I can encourage you all I want, but if you want to find the hope in your story and understand why you're here, you're going to have to bring those questions directly to God yourself. Now, she can't hide the cruel realities or promise empty things. She doesn't know what's going to happen, but she points him away from circumstances and opinions and back to God and Scripture, which is the best thing that a parent can do. She reminds him, Moses, the greatest man of God they knew of at that time, wasn't prepared. But God said, if I say you're ready, you're ready. Who made man's mouth? I have what you need, and I won't withhold it from you. Amma tells Mephy, God did that for your father too. Bad things happen, but if you want to see yourself and your circumstances differently, you have to face the Lord and let his words direct your future. And that's the only way forward for any of us. Right away, we're already seeing Mephy's biggest conflict, and he's already being offered the way out, the way toward victory. Now, he's not quite mature enough to fully accept it yet, but seeds are being planted, and that's vital. That's the first part of this. And that's what I want to highlight for chapter 2. When we get caught up in unfairness, lack, loss, or hurt or weakness, it's not the end. If we allow that to define us, though, everything will be bound up from then on. But we need to remember that it isn't ultimately other people or even circumstances that define our destiny. It's easy to get discouraged when you're not seeing what you want to see, but when you go before the Lord, you realize he defines failure very differently than we do, and he equips those he calls. Moses is a great example of that. He felt like a failure. He was confused about his life's purpose, but God knew how he wanted to use him. And when Moses faced God, he realized all his plans and ideas for himself weren't God's ideals. It wasn't about Moses equipping himself and making sure, I'm following a perfect plan that I've decided that's going to get me victory. God wanted a relationship with him where Moses would learn to trust him step by step, and God provided the victory. So for Mephy, Amma is placing an open door before him. This is the door we all have to go through if we want any kind of answers. Facing God is the first step to anything good.